I think it's easy to assume that container gardening is going to be harder and have more limitations. But I honestly think if you play your cards right and are strategic about it, it can be easier to grow certain things in containers than to grow them in ground or to grow them in a raised bed. And I was specifically talking about edible plants here. So we're going to get into my top 5 favorite edible plants to grow in a container garden today. Container gardens aren't just for balcony growers or people who have really limited space, time, energy, or money to set up a garden. I grow pretty much all of my plants in some type of a container because I honestly think it's easier. We can control the soil quality, we can elevate them so that they're easier to reach and harder for munching wildlife to get to. So I always say for beginners, a container garden is more than enough. And even if you're more experienced, branch out, try it, see what you think. So I'll try to give some specific tips for planting each of these as we go because each one does have some specific needs that we need to keep in mind. But overall, if you're growing in a container garden, some general best practices, you're going to need to water more because they do dry out more quickly. You can kind of circumvent this a little bit by adding a really lightweight mulch. I really like to put a layer of leaf mold on top of my container gardens. You also need to make sure you're using the correct type of soil in a container garden that has really good drainage because there's more opportunity for water to kind of sit and cause root rot and overwatering if we're not using potting mix, which is meant for planters and containers. It's also really good at just holding the right amount of water so that it doesn't dry out as fast. You also want to keep in mind the type of container you're using and the size of container that you're using. For types, there's so many. A grow bag is a really great place to start that's super economical. A grow bag will encourage air pruning, but they are also made of plastic. So if it's important to you to use more natural materials, you can go with a clay pot. I would make sure it's glazed, except in one specific instance, which we'll talk about in a minute. But if you have a pot that doesn't have like a shiny finish, at least on the outside, it's going to dry out really fast because clay is so porous, it sucks that moisture from the inside of the pot to the outside and makes it evaporate a lot faster. Of course, there's tons of other kinds of just plastic planters you can get really affordably as well that are really lightweight and easy to move around. I would avoid any kind of planter that has a built-in kind of self-watering tray in the bottom of it because water tends to just sit in there and it's not super accessible to the plants. It can get really stinky. The most economical thing you can do is to just get some nursery pots, honestly. And most of these plants, you're going to want something that's at least 3.5 gallons, preferably 5 gallons, because they do need room to grow. And a lot of these containers are going to restrict that growth and cause your plant to come out a little bit smaller unless you're growing in like an elevated raised bed like I do. So one thing I've had really good luck with is kind of harnessing the energy of the sun when it comes to container gardening because container gardens heat up a lot faster. So if you live in a colder climate especially, this first plant is going to do even better in a container garden versus in ground because hot peppers love heat. They need that heat in order to be productive, in order to make the plant spicier. So you will have less spicy pepper fruits if you do not plant in a container that's going to get nice and warm. So a clay pot in particular is really good for growing hot peppers because it's going to absorb residual heat from the sun throughout the day. That's going to keep it warmer for longer into the night if your nights get cooler. And it's also just going to keep it warmer in general. I like to grow my peppers in at least a 3.5 gallon, but preferably a 5-gallon pot. With all of these, you want to make sure you're really on top of fertilizing, but peppers in particular can be a little bit heavier feeders of these 5 plants. So you want to make sure that you're adding some kind of granular, slow-release plant food to this at least every 4 weeks. And of course, if we're going to be taking advantage of the fact that we're harnessing the power of the sun, it needs to be in a sunny spot. Peppers in particular really like to get at least 8 hours of direct sunlight every day. That's going to help them to be the most prolific, the most productive. You can stick a pepper plant pretty much anywhere. And there are dwarf varieties that are bred more for containers that will do better in the smaller spaces as well. So you can keep an eye out for those if you're trying to keep things in an even smaller container, especially if you only have 3.5 gallon container. I would be looking for a patio or dwarf variety of pepper to grow. Typically, these patio varieties are just as productive in my experience. They just come in a much more compact plant. They have a smaller root structure. And the fruits themselves may be a little bit smaller, but you're going to get a good quantity of fruit overall. So I grow all sorts of peppers in containers, but hot peppers specifically, especially if you're in a colder climate, are excellent contenders for container gardening. Hi friends, if you're watching this, that means that I've already started my maternity leave and this video is pre-recorded. I just wanted to thank you really quick for continuing to support the channel while I'm out, because while I'm really excited to take this time off to spend with my baby, I am self-employed. I do not get maternity leave. So every time you watch any of my videos or subscribe to the channel, it really does help. You can also support the channel by checking out my super soft merch down below the description. There's also a whole bunch of ebooks and gardening guides down there for you as well. Thanks again and hope you enjoy the video. Another plant that likes the heat, but this isn't the main reason why I would grow it in container, is actually a Mediterranean herb that I've heard people have mixed success with, and I think that this might be the key to growing rosemary. So rosemary is our #2 container garden plant because it really likes to dry out. Anytime you hear that a plant is Mediterranean, it can be really susceptible to root rot. And so it's really important that we make sure that the soil that we're using and the container that we're using allows for proper drainage and allows it to dry out. So this comes back to my first point about using the terracotta that's unglazed. In this case, with rosemary, where it's a plant that likes to pretty much fully dry out before you water it again, planting it in a terracotta or really any clay pot that is not glazed on the outside or inside is going to let it dry out more efficiently. Rosemary does not overwinter super well here in my zone 6B, so I do bring it inside in the winter, but it's so easy to propagate too. So if you're not able to bring in the full plant in the winter, you could just cut back a couple of stems and root them in a smaller container and then bring them outside in the spring. I find rosemary to be a really low maintenance plant to grow, but you do need to keep on top of pruning it. And the bigger container you can give it, the bigger it's going to get. But it is pretty forgiving of being put in a smaller pot, like even something as small as 2 gallons, you just won't get as much off of it. So I have 2 rosemary plants that I grow straight in terracotta pots. If you have terracotta pots and you want to use them in your container gardens for things that don't necessarily need or want to dry out as fast, what you can actually do is plant your plant in a nursery pot, the plastic kind instead, and then put that nursery pot inside of the terracotta so you still get the look, the vibe of the terracotta, which I love, but it's not going to dry out quite as fast because it has that plastic inner liner piece to it. On the other end of the spectrum, if we want to talk about really small containers, like I'm saying shallow, I've seen these planted in old gutters, honest. We need to talk about strawberries, because strawberries in particular, anytime I show them, everyone is like, how are you getting so many strawberries? Somebody's always eating them in my garden, whether it's a chipmunk, a squirrel, a rabbit, the deer. These are a popular plant for a reason, guys. They're delicious. So what's great about strawberries is once we eliminate the pest pressure from munching wildlife, they're really low maintenance, easy plants to grow, and I consider them the ultimate gateway to the garden, because once you have a fresh homegrown strawberry, you're never going to be able to go back to store-bought. They're just so much better. The flavor is unreal. It's out of this world. And they really don't need much. They have very shallow root systems, so you can grow them in something that's only about 4 inches deep. As long as the soil is really good and you're staying on top of fertilizing and making sure those plants are fed. So if you have a really small space, start with strawberries and keep them elevated so that nothing else can get to them too. There's a few different types. You can get June bearing or you can get ever bearing. And June bearing, like the name implies, produce most of their harvest all at once in June, whereas ever bearing will produce a smaller harvest over a longer period of time. So if you're looking to do a lot of canning and you don't want to have to freeze some until you have a good stockpile, the June bearing is a lot better for that. But everbearing, of course, you'll get strawberries over a much longer season, which is also really nice. The most popular variety to grow would be an Albion. And you can also get your strawberries as either plants or bare root. And bare root, they literally just come with like this little stub of a crown and the roots on them, no dirt, no leaves, no foliage of any kind. Those will take a lot longer to mature. So if you're looking to harvest strawberries the first year that you plant them, you want to make sure you're actually getting strawberry plants that have like true green leaves and foliage on them already. Sometimes these will come in a bigger pot. If you're planting it in something more shallow, you can remove a lot of that soil and replant it in your shallower container, and that's fine. Just keep in mind when you're planting anything in a really shallow container, like a 4-inch container, it doesn't matter if it's terracotta or not, that's going to dry out real fast. You may be watering that twice a day in a heat wave. So that's another situation where mulching can really help. Your strawberry plants will put out runners too, so you don't need to get enough strawberries to fully fill your container because they will spread over time. Another thing that's great about container gardens is they can actually make it easier to harvest certain crops. And I will actually only plant this crop in a container because I find it way too hard to harvest if I plant it in the ground or even in a raised bed. Because potatoes are really heavy and they're root crops. We have to dig them up in order to get the harvest. But if you plant them in a grow bag, you can literally just tip them out onto a tarp. And there's nothing more satisfying than this. Plus, you're not going to miss any of the potatoes that you grow this way, because a lot of times if you're digging through soil trying to find all the potatoes, you're going to miss one or two. This way you can really sift through everything and then just reuse the soil. With potatoes, it is really important that you have a lightweight mix in there because you don't want the roots that are growing and forming to have to fight against the force of the soil if it's a heavier clay dense soil. So it's really important to use a nice fluffy compost in there. Potatoes are another one of those things where the variety that you can grow is going to depend on where you live, because some of them need more daylight hours than others in order to mature. So that's something to keep in mind and something to look out for as you're trying to decide what varieties to grow. There's also two different types of potatoes, just the same way that there's two different types of tomatoes. We have indeterminate and determinate potatoes. So a lot of the times we see all this hilling that's being done. So as soon as the potato starts to sprout green growth, they'll get covered again with more soil, and you have to continue to do this throughout the season. I prefer to grow determinate potatoes because I can plant them, completely bury them all in one go, and just leave them alone until it's time to harvest. I'm growing Adirondack Blue determinate potatoes this year. They're a really fun purple variety. You can get so many different cool potatoes. You can even sprout them from the grocery store. I haven't done it, but it's definitely possible. So there's other crops like this that will just be easier to harvest, like root crops, if they're in a container, because you can just tip it over and get everything all in one go. You don't need a pitchfork. You don't need to spend hours bent over sweating in your garden bed trying to get all those potatoes out. So that's another consideration that makes container gardens a little bit easier, in my opinion. Last but not least, we have one tree that I can only grow if I grow it in a container because it allows me to move it inside when it gets too cold out, and that's my citrus trees. I'm growing a calamanso orange tree and a Meyer lemon tree. I started growing these because I went to California and I had fresh citrus from the trees and it was just unreal and I had to have it. But here in Zone 6B, they cannot overwinter. And that's true for a lot of different fruit trees, which you can continue to grow other kinds of fruit trees in containers too. But figs are another big one that people like to grow in containers in these colder zones. Fruit trees are going to do better in a grow bag because they get this air pruning, where basically they hit the outside edges of the bag and they sense the oxygen and they kind of cut themselves off there and self-prune underneath the soil instead of starting to spiral and become root bound in the container, which can be a big issue when you're growing fruit trees in containers. Of course, it is a tree, so you want to be considering whether it's possible for you to have it in as large a container as possible. I would say ideally in a 25-gallon grow bag. That's really hard to move. That's extremely heavy. You would need to have it on some sort of caster that you can roll inside and outside of your garage or something. I have mine in 5-gallon pots right now. They will need to be uppotted soon, but they're just kind of like more immature at this point, so I can get away with it for a little while. But yeah, that allows me to have mobile fruit trees so they can come outside in the summer, really put on a lot of their growth, and then they just kind of go inside for the winter and they'll react differently to this. One of my trees dropped all of its leaves when I did this last year, but it just went dormant and it came back next spring. The other one was fine. It ended up actually flowering in January. I had beautiful orange blossoms in my kitchen, which was just an unreal experience. Highly recommend. And then I got to harvest citrus. It feels like cheating nature, and it is, but it's a really cool thing that container gardens allow us to do that you really couldn't do otherwise. So those are my top 5 favorite plants to do in container gardens, but I know there's just so many more amazing ones that we can grow this way. So let me know your favorites down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.